I design stuff and I build businesses. And while doing these two things, I think of how to solve problems at scale for lots of people. My latest product, Visi, currently uses AI to generate websites so that people who are non-technical can pretty much describe the idea and then the platform builds out the website. I think one of the secrets to success is what you are doing in the meantime. Between here and there, what are you doing in the middle? A lot of people are stuck in the middle. I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to achieve this. What are you doing between, the goal or and then when you achieve that goal? That simplicity drives use, right? It is that simplicity in Canva and other tools that are very simple. For example, WhatsApp that we've brought into Visi. My name is Evans Akanno, and I'm the founder of Visi, and this is a spotlight.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Spotlight. This podcast is for curious minds and aspiring innovators who are leading the charge in the research revolution. We dive deep to discuss inspiring, informative, and offbeat conversations on product research and strategy. My name is Iwalola Shubowale, and I am a product research and strategy lead at a leading technology company in Nigeria. Today, we have the honor of hosting Evans Akanno, the founder of Visi, a product that empowers individuals to create websites and landing pages without the need for coding or design skills. Evans is an entrepreneur with a remarkable track record of creating impactful and user friendly digital experiences. With over a decade of experience, Evans has mastered the art of customer centricity, product design, and management. He has been recognized by Forbes Africa, naming him one of their 30 under 30 in technology. Throughout his journey, Evans has built an impressive portfolio of successful ventures. As the CEO and founder of Cregital, he bootstrapped the agency from his personal savings to generate over $700,000 in revenue. Evans also co founded Disha, a mobile landing page builder that caught the attention of Y Combinator and later saw a six-figure acquisition by Flutterwave. Today, we have the privilege of diving deep into Evans's background, exploring his incredible journey thus far, and gaining insights into the motivations and inspirations behind the creation of Visi. We will uncover the unique challenges he faced along the way and explore the profound impact of digital brand design on building successful brands. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired by the wealth of knowledge and expertise that Evans Akanno brings to the podcast today. Welcome, Evans. It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm so glad that you have agreed to join.
Thank you, Oliver.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll just jump right into the icebreaker, kind of get us a bit more comfortable and then get people to know you a bit better. So I'll ask you a couple of questions, basically this or that, and then you get to like quickly think and then let me know which is your preference. Is that okay?
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the first is, um, do you prefer Android or iPhone?
iPhone,
iPhone.
iOS.
Awesome. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea, coffee is a drug.
Ah, okay. Were you like a coffee nut at any point?
No, never been,
Okay.
never will.
Awesome. Okay. Do you prefer to read books or watch movies?
I prefer movies to books, actually.
Oh, really? What kind of like what genre of movies?
I started off with romantic comedies, but now I love some true crime, adventure, science fiction.
Oh, wow. Can you remember the last thing you watched?
The last thing I watched was Heart of Stone. That was 2 days ago.
Oh,
It's on
okay.
Netflix.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay. Oh, I can see you weren't really you're not really enthused about it. So just meh. What would you say is like the best thing you've watched? Or like something that stays with you till today?
I think the greatest movie ever made, and this is my opinion, is Avengers Endgame.
Wow, okay. Why
Yeah.
do you think so?
I remember like I think that was Endgame, the one where Tony Stark dies. I think that was one of the biggest movies they've made. In 2018, it was our anniversary at Cregital, so we paid off the cinema for everyone to see it, and we invited our friends over,
Oh,
and
I
it was a
love that.
huge experience. Yeah,
I love that. Okay. Okay, so would you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert?
a bit of both. I moved countries in my 30s from Nigeria to the US, so I'm still figuring out whether I'm an introvert now or an extrovert. You know,
Yeah,
it's different when you're in a different place, so I
yeah,
think a bit of both.
yeah. So how is it, being in a new place in your 30s? Are you adjusting easily?
Well, adjusting as much as I can. There are certain things I can't change. My love for Nigerian food stays sure.
Of course.
I, yeah, I can't start to have a deep love for tacos and all that kind of stuff.
Mm,
I still love to eat Nigerian food.
yeah.
Culture-wise, I think it's also very different because people are very individualistic here compared to Nigeria, where you always have like community which is always around you, you
Mhm.
know. So I'm getting used to it though.
Awesome. Okay. So what do you do for food, for Nigerian food? Do you cook or you have to buy?
I have to buy, then I have some loved ones,
Okay.
cousins, that can just come and make something for me. Yeah,
Awesome. You're lucky. Oh.
I am
Okay.
lucky.
Would you say you're into like minimalist or like maximalist?
Minimalist.
Minimalist. Okay.
I'm sure it's minimalist. Yeah, I wear black, white, and black only. Like literally,
Okay.
I my whole wardrobe is just black t-shirts and white t-shirts.
I guess you
I
get
can't.
bored.
I don't get bored. Like it's easier for me to just know that. Like I was telling someone some days ago that I need to pick up what to wear. It was like just wear that black stuff and come out. I was like, good. It could be a shirt. It could be yeah.
Yeah.
But it's nice.
Okay. Okay. Would you say what would you say is like your preference for like a primary brand element? Would you say typography or color is your preference, or you don't have any?
Hmm. That's a very strong question. I think it's can it be both? Because both of them are very important.
Mm,
Typography over color. The reason is because typography it drives more accessibility. People are able to read what you've done.
mm.
Colors, you can work with those colors based on typography. So typography then color.
Okay. Nice. Um, would you say you prefer like an iconic logo or like a wordmark logo?
My design personality wants an iconic logo. The
Okay.
fact that I design for people, I want a
Mm,
text-based logo because people need to be able to identify your brand.
mm,
Branding is pretty much about them identifying you.
mm.
So a bit of both. My design side wants an icon. My human side or people side wants text that someone can read.
Mm. So do you sketch before you start designing?
Well, I still do sometimes, but these days I've sketched it in my brain before I start out. I kind of know what I want to do,
Mm.
but I sometimes I want to critically solve something using design. I still get to sketch on iPad or something just to make sure that's the best solution.
Okay. So you would definitely say you're artistic, right?
Yes, I think I am. Yes.
Now, like I'm jealous. I don't know where was I when God was giving out all these artistic skills. I can't even draw like a house or a tree. Anyway, okay. So, would you let me just get back two more fun stuff. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yes.
Why is
YouTube
that your
is
preference?
noisy.
YouTube is
Noisy.
noisy. Okay, so basically
It's
you
too
want
many things.
you want something that is curated for you, something that gives you the recommendations that are in line with what you want to watch. Is that
Exactly. Yeah.
okay? Okay, awesome. Okay, so final question. Would you say you are an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl. My
Wow.
greatest work has been done in midnight.
It always is, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've never had those times where you like work on something all night and then maybe you have like a very early meeting and you're still kind of like pumped, right? From the work at night.
These days, my personal hack is there is no meeting that is before 11 a.m.
Okay.
on my calendar. I push my meetings to 12.
Okay, I
Just
love that.
so if I had an amazing night where I worked till 5 a.m., I can
Mm,
sleep for 5 hours and then it's 10 o'clock and I can wake up and do any meeting.
I love that. Are you on Twitter?
Yes, I am.
Okay, did you
Evans
see
Akanno
this
on Twitter.
conversation about how in your 20s you're meant to be like you shouldn't be sleeping 8 hours, and if you're sleeping for 8 hours, then like you're clearly you don't have goals or something like that. Did you see that?
I saw it.
Okay, so what's your own take on that?
People
I know controversial,
people need to let others sleep.
right?
Like I don't think that your success is tied to how long you stay awake.
Okay.
You could be awake and still wasting time. You could be awake working on the wrong things.
Mm,
So if you need to sleep to clear your head, sleep. In my early 20s, in fact, like when I was in Jumia, that was 2012.
okay.
The award given to me at the office was Jonah because I sleep in the office. And it's not like I sleep during work hours.
Mm,
When they have the break period, that's 1 hour break for lunch.
mm.
I put my head down and sleep. I eat in like 10 minutes and I sleep for like 30 minutes.
Well,
And people are like, why do you sleep at? And I'm just like, because I work at night and I
mm,
need to just rest my eyes. So I think sleep is productive. I don't think rest is the opposite of productivity. I think that rest is also a productivity hack.
I I'm so aligned on that. Because there are times when you that 30 minutes of sleep or thinking about nothing, when you come back from it, you're like refreshed and you can actually
Yeah.
go, right? I'm so aligned on
Yes.
that. Awesome. Okay, so basically I think we've got to know you a bit. You prefer iPhones, you prefer tea to coffee, you are a movie lover, a night owl, and you think you're like a bit of an introvert and extrovert. You have a minimalist design style, you know, and then you
Yeah.
prefer like iconic logos. Well, I think you kind of said your design side of you wants to go for an iconic logo, right? But then you kind of think both are
Yes.
important. So I think we've got to know you a bit. Thank you so much for sharing. But please, could you now introduce yourself like in your own words? If you had to introduce yourself in your own words, like how would you describe yourself?
I think that the best way to describe myself is a designer and entrepreneur. It's as simple as that. I design stuff and I build businesses. And while doing these two things, I think of how to solve problems at scale for lots of people. You know, my main focus is digital design, right? So with digital design, I build products, right? Or I render design as a service to people. My latest product, Vizi, currently uses AI to generate websites so that people who are non-technical can pretty much describe the idea and then the platform builds out the website. That's me.
I love that. I should also let you know I have a colleague and now friend really who has designed his portfolio with Vizi and he loves it. So I mean that's like
Yeah.
like what has been the feedback been like for what's the feedback being like for Vizi?
Mhm. Feedback is amazing. Before we even started building Vizi, I think I started Vizi in 2021 January. That's when I started building Vizi. And I knew that. So this is what I tell people that if you invest a lot in user experience design, user experience being the experience people derive from using a product, right? How they feel when using it. If you invest a lot in doing it, right? And investing a lot means you're making it simple, you're making it usable for them, that you would actually enjoy less customer service support and you would enjoy more brand love,
Yeah.
right? And that was like my main thing. And I built this product, and I even while building it, I had like we have a very small team. I think just about 4 people on the team. And I was telling them that at some point, we'll wake up in the morning and we'll see people talk about VZ, and talk about how they love the product. And it's happening just a year after or 2 years after, right? People use the product since we launched, and we see them advocate for the brand even without us doing any work, right? We haven't spent $50 on marketing since we launched, and we have 11,000 websites that have been viewed on Visi
Wow,
in the past 6 months. Yeah.
that is amazing. That is amazing. I started following you when you went to do your MBA, I believe, and I saw how you like talked about it. What was that experience like?
That was an I would have called it an
MSc.
MSc,
Okay.
but it's a different kind of MSc. So it's a master's in entrepreneurship and
Okay.
innovation. It was a great experience, really. I moved from Nigeria, came to California, made new friends, made more diverse friends. Um, Took time to actually study the business of what I'm doing. Because one of the things I need to tell people is the fact that everything I built, even down to every achievement I got, I hadn't gone to business school. I hadn't gone to any formal education for business, right? A lot of those things, even when people tell me, oh, Evans, you're so good at bootstrapping, I think for me, it's just the things I read in small books I was able to just lay my hands on, or reading off people's experiences. I was able to say, you know what, I can build a simple agency business that can reinvest the profits back into the business, right? Most of the people that ran business in Nigeria 30 years ago, our parents and all of that, they didn't really go to formal education in business school, right? So I found myself just leaning on my own understanding. However, the pandemic kind of showed me that I needed to, re strategize my life because, the agency model, you have to also remember that, this is Nigeria. What is the plan for yourself and your legacy even beyond now? And for many other reasons, I kind of just moved from Nigeria to the US, took that 1 year sabbatical to study in school, right? Take a pause. And during that time, I'm also like building Visi, researching what I'm building, all that kind of stuff. It was a good experience, really amazing experience. I had people that I could show the nascent, experiences of Visi, like how early it is, or what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I enjoyed the MSc program. Most of my assignments were all about Visi. Whenever they asked, oh, study an industry and let us know your findings, I just picked the no code industry where people are building stuff without writing code. If they say another industry, I say creator economy because I wanted to make sure everything I was studying was going to be valuable knowledge in building Visi or other companies. So I kind of got a hang at it and it makes sense.
I feel like that's actually very important what you said. So would you say that Visi was one of the reasons why you decided to go and study a master's in innovation, right?
It was beyond Visi, it was for
Okay.
self. I think I'll be raising a family here in the US, and I think it's only wise for me to be part of the educational system here to understand the uniqueness of that system when I choose to start a
Hmm.
family.
I can totally relate to that. So I also I appreciate what you said. You said the assessment you had, right? You kind of try to focus more on the industry around Visi. So would you say it's really important
Yeah,
to kind of when you're studying for like maybe a master's in, maybe you want to go someone wants to go ahead and study a master, would you say it's important to niche down or be as open as possible to different industries in your experience?
it depends on the
Mm,
person. For some people, they are still trying to figure out what they want to
mm,
do, right? I have spent about, let's say, 13 years in this industry called design, right? I know I am here, right? If I'm building the next tool will use design to solve something. You understand? So this is where I am. So anything I was studying, I wanted to make sure it's still around design software because that's my own niche, right? I'm not going off to this to study something in a whole different industry, like let's say deep engineering or or marine, right? I wanted to make sure I'm doing this. Also, I didn't pick an MBA because the MBA curriculum kind of prepares you to be a manager at a company, while an entrepreneur and innovation program is more aligned to people who build stuff, who are makers, right? Which is pretty much my profile. I make things, right? So I wanted a master's degree that aligns to that.
So yeah, I think I understand that. So um what would you say is, is it, what part of your background kind of made you interested in digital design? How did you basically get here?
I think right from like secondary school, I liked science and I liked art. But it was hard for me to say I liked art, because anyone who sees you, oh, you're a science head, you're a FICO, all those kind of things, right? So I loved science. However, I found myself loving magazines, right? I love the media so much. I look at magazines like when my dad would travel, he would come back with in-flight magazines, and I'm like, man, these things look really good, right? I look at ads of Nike and Adidas back in the day, and I'm like, I love the way those brands showcase themselves, and I'm just like, when I look at the average Nigerian brand around me, I'm like, why can't our brands look this good, right? It's just design, right? And then, I had access to Photoshop and CorelDRAW at about 15 years, so I started playing with those software and it kind of just solidified my love for design. I started off with typography really, choosing fonts, knowing what font is best for this kind of thing, and that just morphed into me building a career in design because, in as much as I studied industrial chemistry in university, I came out and I joined the, Nigerian youths without job. That's our reality. But I couldn't do that whole I have no job thing for so long because I realized that, you looking for a job is kind of a job on its own, and you not doing anything in the meantime, you're missing out on life. I think one of the secrets to success is what you are doing in the meantime. Between here and there, what are you doing in the middle? A lot of people are stuck in the middle. I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to achieve this. What are you doing between, the goal or and then when you achieve that goal? So while waiting for those jobs to come, I just started to design again. And I started to do it more proactively this time. I was reaching out to people to tell them, oh, I can design your logo for like 5,000 naira. I can make a website for you for like 30,000 naira. And, doing it like 3 projects in a month, I was making like 60, 70, 80K. I'm like, okay, I think this may be a whole thing, and I move on to register a company called Evans Akanno Agency. And from there, we started to work with people like DSTV as far back as 2011. You know, I remember I was one of the core team that designed the very first AMVC awards. And I look at AMVCA today and I'm like, look at how, something small has become this 10 years after. But that was just me picking out something that I thought it was nothing. Because I was waiting for the job at Shell and Chevron. I studied chemistry, right? But those jobs didn't come. Eventually, I started to design, built an agency. The agency was just me and my younger brother, and then we just kept on growing.
That is really amazing to hear. Like, I can't believe you said you started using CorelDRAW and all that at 15. I mean, I know I was exposed to it in university, in secondary school, but I literally was just doing that in school just to pass exams and things like that. But I can see, you've taken us through how you started making money from it. Um, that's just, to me, that's really interesting. You defined yourself as a maker and an entrepreneur, and I think we're basically trying, and a designer, of course, and we're basically already seeing how that started out. What would you say are like some of the key milestones or turning points in your career?
I think starting Cregital was a major milestone in my career because, while working on the Evans Akanno agency, I got the job at Jumia, you know, even before it was called Jumia. I was one of their early team members, you know, worked at Jumia, then moved to Konga, and then left Konga to rebrand Evans Akanno agency to Cregital, you know. So I did that rebrand, built Cregital, bootstrapped the company, which pretty much I just started bootstrapping from like Evans Akanno days. So I bootstrapped Cregital up until like, 2021 when I left the country to come to the US, you know. But even while doing that, I learned so much while building Cregital because I was able to, while they understand the integrity of business, understand what it is to have a limited company compared to a business name, lots of different things, having to negotiate with top financial officials, in banks to get projects from them, getting really high network projects, talking to a lot of people, getting awarded, like every, all that kind of stuff. It was high speed, right? But I also learned something major there that the agency model, it has a flaw. And that flaw was, I only realized that flaw in the pandemic, that regardless of how we grew, whenever we whenever we get a new client, we are solving the same problem over and over again. And doing that does not scale, right? And that's the biggest challenge I realized. You take on a client's bank A, you do a website for this bank, you move on to the next bank, you make another website for this bank. For all these projects, you're working with like extended timelines, lots of back and forth, lots of corrections, lots of opinions by different people, you know. And then payments are delayed, and then you have to go and talk to them. It's just a lot of stressful life that doesn't allow you grow as a person, right? And then the pandemic made me stop and realize that, we should do things a lot differently. Before the pandemic, I had taken out a team in Cregital to build Disha, right? And there, that was a whole different, phase of my life because I had to work with co-founders. We had co-founder misalignments. We fell out. Everything kind of just culminated during the pandemic, and I realized it was time for a fresh start. So there's been lots of different high points in my career. Even moving to the US was a high point because I remember back then in Cregital and during that time I was reading Cregital and Disha, I realized that I was saying things like, you know, um, once the team is together in one place, we can build anything because of that deep collaboration of people coming together, you know. And then it's funny because I said something, I was like, if someone takes away the whole team and God gives me the same team, I can build everything all over again. And I realized that it's unlimited prayer because now I'm in the US, I'm building busy, and I have only met one person on my team just once. The rest of the team haven't met each other. Everyone is distributed in Nigeria, and just four people building what people are enjoying today called busy. It's crazy because I used a larger team to build other products in the past. I'm using a smaller team to build today. So there's always new learnings. I think my journey is full of ups and downs or different milestones. But for every milestone, there is new courage that is gained and new learnings that I can pass to the next person.
That's amazing. You mentioned skill earlier, and I was going to ask you about, what, how, like, to you, how important was skill? Because you talked about how, with the agency model, you're basically doing the same thing over and over for different people. And then you talked about how you wanted to move to where you could scale. But then now it's interesting that you have four people, just four people building Visi. Like, how would you define skill?
Yeah. Okay. In that term, what I meant by scale is, say, for example, you're a client, right? Walola needs a website for her personal brand, right? She says, "Oh, Evans, can your team help with this?" Great, we can. We build that website for Walola. And then Walola tells her sister, and her sister also wants a website. Sister wants a website, we are doing that as well. She tells the next person, we are doing it over and over again for different people, right? Now, what I did was I take a break in 2021 and then I start building Busy. Mind you, while building Cregital, let's say in the whole 7 years of running Cregital actively, we built maybe around 300 to 400 websites, right? One after the other. We actually designed 300 websites each, right? And then with Visi, I spend 1.5 years to build out the software to ensure that this software works for anyone who wants to create a website. And today, 11,000 people can create websites, and they can all do it while Evans is asleep.
That's absolutely fantastic.
That is scale.
That's amazing.
Scale is the fact that you can earn while you sleep. You don't need to actually always be in the business for you to, you know, earn. And that's what was very important to me, because there was another challenge I realized while building Cregital, that yes, we are bringing in people, we are nurturing their talent, we are helping them grow, we are helping them learn what we know, right? Because we weren't rich enough to hire the best people in the business, right? So most of the people that passed through the company were people who were just learning. They stayed with an internship and then they grew to senior people. But as soon as they become very good, they leave. And then you bring the next set of people, and then it's almost like you're churning out talent, right? But the sad situation with that is that to maintain the quality of work that the company delivers, it keeps the CEO in the same spot.
That's really,
So building a business that scales is important for your mental health.
I can totally understand that. And you know one thing I so I think this also I think I'm beginning to understand you as a person as well. You talked about, why you moved from like the agency model, and then this what you basically explained now. You want to be able to build something, but you also want to kind of preserve yourself, right? Your own mental health. And do you have
Very
yes,
important.
do you have like a how would I say this, a schedule, like while you're building Visi? Because you just told us now that you're four people. Do you have a schedule? Do you have times where you say, "Oh, I want to take a day off, and this is my day off"? Is that even possible?
So yes, it's possible, because the good thing is that, in fact, whenever we release an update, right, and that's the beauty of software. And I think I need to start talking about these things a lot, right? When you build software, we can literally spend 1 month and not roll any new updates, and everyone is working fine. Like everyone's website is good. And that's the beauty of software, right? You buy, I don't know what phone you use. You realize that the company is not releasing updates every week, right? Sometimes they are building a feature, right? Building Busy has given me so much flexibility. The fact that everyone is in a different location, like the whole team hasn't met each other, and maybe it's next year we would actually meet each other for the first time, because I hope I'll be in Nigeria by next year, and then we get to meet for the first time in 3 years, right? When I was building the previous companies, I would need people to show up in the office so we can move things forward. Today, we need to just see your updates in the code and we have moved things forward, right? My team is so flexible that I don't personally want to know you woke up in the morning. I want to know that you got your task done. So that flexibility is existent right now in this new company. I've been much more healthy compared to any other company I've built in the past. Because any of those companies, I needed to show up as a CEO every day. I needed to show up with every single, even the days I don't feel very, you know, there are days you're tired, right? You still need to show up and lead. But with this, it's distributed. You can take a day off. My team members take a day off when they want to take a day off. They have healthy lives where they can be able to, work and deliver that update at night or in the afternoon. Because, timing for us is asynchronous, where you can be able to do things and we can just update on the fly, and then the other person tests what you've done and it works. So right now I do have time for myself. I can take a day off. I can take 2 days off. I can go on holiday. And the beauty of the software we've built is that if they release an update, I can test that update on my phone, because Visi is actually very mobile oriented. So I have designed something that is a lot better for the current version of Evans. But it took me all those times and all those learnings and all those challenges in the past for me to be able to design this kind of software and business.
So that's absolutely fantastic. Coming from Cregital, like you just said, you took all those learnings from the Evans Akanno agency, Cregital and Disha to now Visi. Like, how would you say that you validated the idea for Visi based on all the experience you'd had in the past?
So the first thing is I've used all these different softwares to build websites, and I find that there is still a huge dependence on designers to create websites. And it's not even the dependence is not even the creation process. Sometimes it's even the editing process. People struggle with these tools. I have taught people design many times, and it's actually really, really tough to have them understand the nitty gritty of the different tools. And the reason for this is because those tools are made by, when people say this is a simple platform, you're saying it's simple. However, your tool was made by engineers who didn't spend time with the customer to understand what the customer wants. Do you know the tool called Canva? I think everybody knows Canva.
Yes, I use Canva a lot. I'm addicted to Canva.
Okay, great. Melanie, who is the founder of Canva, she used to teach graphic design. And she found the same challenge that Photoshop is complicated. You need a simple tool that if you click on flip, the image would flip. If you click on up, the image goes up. If you click on grayscale, it goes grayscale. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, totally.
That simplicity drives use, right? It is that simplicity in Canva and other tools that are very simple. For example, WhatsApp that we've brought into Visi. One of the things I tweeted was if you can use WhatsApp and Instagram, you can create a website on Visi. And I tweeted that some months ago, and people are like, he's actually serious. We've seen people who have tweeted about this is the first time I'm creating a website, and here's what I created. And the reason is because what I did was, out of all these years of creating websites and all the different feedback that clients have given over the years, and all the different times I had to explain, here is how to do this thing. And then all the times that I had to read about building software that is simple. And all the softwares I use on my phone, from WhatsApp to Instagram to Twitter, that are easy to use, I combine all that knowledge into a simple tool. So it is ridiculously simple for people to launch their brand online. Because this technical know-how of a thing is what's holding a lot of people back. You know, they have amazing ideas, but when they think of the fact that your simple, amazing idea, which could be as simple as I want people to pay me for my time when they talk to me. If you tell someone I want a platform like this, automatically I tell you, oh, $10,000, $5,000, 2 million naira, and you realize I'm not even sure this will work out. Why are you charging me this much? Do you see what I mean? And that is the validation for products like Visi. The fact that even today we've released the AI version for you to be able to just describe. If you can describe it, then it can build it for you. When we move that a little further, we take it into commerce where Iwalola can be selling a membership for people to access her podcast. Or you know what, Iwalola is now a startup expert and people can actually pay to book her calendar. Instead of you sending a free calendar link, you send a link that allows people to pay you, then they can book. And if you do that, you kind of think of the impact, where we are from. To be honest, like one of the things I look forward to is the fact that at some point we'll teach secondary school students how to create websites on their phone because Visi actually powers that. And if we start to show people that there's possibilities online, they realize that it's better off that we are doing the right things than trying to become internet fraudsters as the way to go. Because there's an impact part of what we are building here. We know that that impact can only happen when you build a product that works in any economy.
Like I'm listening and I'm like dumbstruck really because I didn't even see that connection. So you just talked about how you're trying to build something that would even have a great social impact, and to me it's actually surprising. I don't think we see a lot of founders or entrepreneurs even thinking of that, especially at this stage of like the company's growth, right? What would you say are like some of the like what's your dream for Visi?
My dream for Visi is that people can be able to build without technical know-how. Like people would see what you've built by yourself without knowledge of design or code, and they would assume that you have like a whole technical team behind you and you can manage your business on your own. And we see tools like that in the US from Square to Shopify powering those kind of things, but there aren't those kind of major options in Nigeria. And even the tools we have in Nigeria that are trying to do the same thing, they are kind of complicated to use. And I think that's where the opportunity is. Visi will be that very easy tool to help power your dreams online. We started out with the website parts. People can be able to, that's why you see lots of people using their portfolios on Visi. But the next major aspect is commerce, where people can actually sell digital products on Visi. So whoever has that Calendly link, you can plug it into Visi and it becomes a booking of your time plus automation to send people reminders that you have a meeting with me in the next 1 hour. So you see how that kind of thing automatically using technology to simplify their challenges so they can focus on what they know how to do, focus on selling what they know. I always think about the fact that if a photographer is really good at photography in Nigeria, his skills is relevant somewhere in Venezuela, right? And over time, I've looked at more fintech companies who haven't thought about how can that person in Nigeria sell internationally. And I think that, the time we are building Visi is a time where we can creatively solve that problem that someone in Nigeria can sell internationally what they know.
That's absolutely fantastic. You actually said that your dream for Visi is basically to help power dreams online. And I think that's really profound. So
Yes.
this is amazing and it's a great goal. And actually, before I ask you, the question I want to ask you now is, what are the challenges you've encountered so far while building Visi? But I just also want to know, is Visi Africa focused, or are you thinking of it on a worldwide level?
This is global
Okay,
focused.
okay.
It's global focused, but it's important that we remember our roots. So right now, we actually have two pricing tiers besides pricing the US, or two prices, right? Besides pricing the US in USD and any other country, in Nigeria, we price in Naira as well. And in Nigeria, we have a discounted price for our service in Nigeria. And it's just because it's difficult to separate, for me personally, it's difficult to separate business from impact. If you've made something good, but it's not accessible by people, you haven't really solved that problem. We are at a very important stage. When you said something like when thinking about these kind of things at an early stage, I think companies are designed, and this is not even designing like pixels and look and feel. You actually design a company how you want the company to grow. You put things like your core values. You put it by design so people know that, oh, the reason Evans cares about this thing working on mobile phone is because people in Nigeria, 90% of them use their mobile phone to access the internet. We have to make this tool available on mobile. You understand? So that's actually how we think about impact. We think about it from the part of customer satisfaction. There was one testimonial we got to read where someone was talking about how he's a little boy or like a teenager in his compound, according to him, and the person wants to learn web design but doesn't have a computer. And he was so excited that he could tell the guy, use Visi. Visi, you can design websites on your phone. And it was like, big ups to you guys for building this and making it available to people who don't even have computers. Think of the fact that someone can run a mobile agency in Nigeria using Visi. You can go out there, win clients, design their websites in 15 minutes, send it back to them, collect 50 or 80 grand. And that's valuable to you because the tool is simple, you know. So we think about it, the domino effect of all these things and how it affects people, and how it would actually help them to, we can't solve. I read about the challenges in Nigeria every day from here, but I have never thought about it that the solution that is viable is to go into governance. I believe in building solutions that help people independent of the government. So this is impact work, and that impact is as important to us as other things we are doing in the company.
That's amazing. Actually, I really find it interesting how you talked about a company actually is designed and not just in pixels, right? You actually, when you're saying these are the core values, the vision, the mission, and how Visi is trying to make impact aside from what the government can do. I think that's really profound. So, what would you say are some of like the major challenges you've encountered so far?
Well, we launched a company at the time where venture funding has been incredibly beautiful. You know, it's been the most difficult in raising funds, and it's just because the times we are in, more companies want to see more growth before they think you are investable. They want to see other metrics that kind of de-risks the investment for them. And then the fact that you don't have the network that you do have, in your catchment area. The moment you tell them you're trying to build a brand for the global audience, it becomes difficult for them to even. They prefer to see that you're building something for a very niche market. But we know that in as much as we are chasing impact, our bills are in USD, right? We cannot completely focus in Nigeria. You understand? With the bills in dollars, the more the naira goes down, it makes it even much more difficult for companies to run effectively in Nigeria. So we are in that part of business where we are focused on the global market. However, Nigeria is important to us because it's the motherland, right? That's where the team is based. And we need to make sure that, we are doing our own quota to better our people.
Yes, I can totally understand that. So, like, how have you navigated this challenge?
Well, about navigating that, right now we are focused on growing revenue based on the customers we have, growing our customer numbers, and applying for grants, which is something that are readily available here. And we know that in a few months, things will pick up. Also, we are growing our numbers to go for fundraising efforts by next year. And we know that with the AI launch, which we are planning in a few days' time, more people will be able to create websites on our platform, and then it gives a stronger pitch to whoever we want to get on board to invest. Um, the numbers are looking really good for us, so we know that in a very short time it will not be a challenge anymore.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so you just mentioned the AI launch is in a few days. Are you able to say the date now, or do we just have to anticipate?
21st of
21st,
August, next
21st of
Monday.
August. Amazing. Okay, so we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. So you mentioned your team being in Nigeria. Who is on your payroll presently? I mean, we don't need the names. I'm just interested in knowing the roles. Like, what does it take to get to this point? Who are the people you need on your team?
Right now, our team has three developers, one front end, two back end, and one marketing assistant. Four people.
Okay, and then I guess, of course, you're the designer.
Yeah, I designed the whole thing.
Wow, just you?
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so what would you say? We know you've received a lot of awards and recognition. What would you say is like the one that has really stayed with you, like your biggest win?
I don't know.
Can I give you a few
I
seconds to
really don't
think,
know.
or
To be
does
honest.
everything?
Um, Maybe the Forbes one. People would say that's the biggest one, I guess. You know,
Is
I I I think that those things are great, but I don't want to be someone who wants to rest on those laurels because I know it can be chaotic if you try to rest on those things. It's not a very solid foundation to rest on. Those things put you on a pedestal and then makes it difficult for you to even experience growth or learning. A lot of times, people who are very in tune with what they've achieved, you know, they find it difficult to learn. I believe that growth mindset is important because if you have if you have your mind open to learning something new, you're not focused on the achievements you've had years ago. People mention Forbes on, when they mention my name, and I realized that's actually 4 years ago now. 2019 is 4 years ago, right? I'm looking for even more greater achievements, right? I try not to rest on any of those things for so long. But yeah, I appreciate them.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, I like your perspective, right? You don't want to not be, you don't want to basically feel like you've made it and then you're not hungry anymore. Would you say it's important to be hungry?
It's important
Okay.
to
Okay. So what
it is.
what would you say has been like your lowest low? If we've seen like your accomplishments and all that, what would you say has been like the part where you're like, if maybe this is it, like I'm giving up.
I I don't think I've ever given up. I've never gotten to that point where I'm giving up. I may give up on something, but I won't give up on the whole dream, right? And I think my lowest was in 2020. That was my lowest. I don't even hope I would ever get to that point anymore. It was the pandemic. Morale was low across board, and I was facing really difficult challenges with my then partners at Disha, you know. It was a very, very low point in my life, and what I think at some point, you know, I realized that the best thing here is not to give up on the dream, but to dream a new dream. Actually, someone had told me, "Oh, this is your dream. You can't, And I was like, "I'll dream a new dream," because it was a very, very difficult point for me. And I'm glad that, today I'm living that new dream and I'm seeing how the future looks a lot clearer. I'm in a new country and there's lots of opportunities here, you know, because Nigeria is really, really hard when you think about it. It's too hard for you to have personal challenges, and you're literally one really, really, moving things and building, you know. So a tough time, but it also made me see that I was, I could look beyond the boundaries of Nigeria and build a new life.
I really like that approach for someone who's like been building for quite a while. I want to say that I actually find you very positive. Like, you don't sound like someone that's been hardened by the trials and tribulations. Like, you still have a lot of like positivity, and that's amazing. That's what would you say keeps you positive?
Ah, I think it's just my mindset, you know. I think that as far as you're not dead, God is not done with you. I'm a Christian, you know. I heavily believe in God, and I just know that as far as you put in the work, He's going to bless if you've done the right things. I believe that I believe in being thankful about the tiny, tiny rewards that show up from the things you're doing. It may not be the very big reward at once, but these things kind of scale up over time. So trust me, I know that, my future is, and I can still say my future because there's still so much more to do. One thing I feel like people need to know about entrepreneurship is that in the US, maybe even globally, the average age of a founder is 42 years, right? It's because of Nigeria that puts us under undue pressure that you should figure it out before you're 22. And when you're 22, look around you, you are actually being slow. Somebody else figured it out at 16. But the truth is that when we are all trying to rush and put a date to when we blow, unquote, who is putting a date on when they should die? What about those who ended their life, like they finished their race and they died at 25? What happens to them? You know, I think that we should always be optimistic because I'm Igbo, right? There's this phrase in Igbo they say "Echi kama," like tomorrow is better. You know, and I think that that's how to live life. if you always believe that there is a greater tomorrow, that you will never have a greater past, I think you would have what it takes to live in this crazy world. For me, when challenges happen, I'm just like, okay, this is going to make my story interesting someday. I never believe that I'm done. I think it's crazy. Some people look at it like this guy is just a lunatic. Like, Evans, you should stop building companies by now. You should just focus on, that one and get it sold and then don't work anymore. But I'm just like, I still have stuff in me. This idea, I don't know if you've heard about this phrase called die empty. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. But I think I see where you're going.
So the concept is pretty much exhaust what is inside your brain, exhaust what like use it all. Do you understand? So that because the only regrets are the steps you did not take. The only regrets are the things you did not do. The only regrets are the things that you did not even say. So all those things that, all that creativity within you, bring it out because that's pretty much how you drive impact in the world around you. I was telling a friend of mine that after VZ, I would focus solely on impact work. By the time I get the company acquired, my work would just be impact. Like I would, go to Nigeria, go to a community and provide water. Like seriously, and I won't even need to discuss with the local government. I'll just get water there, because when you read about some kind of thing, you realize, oh, everyone is pointing fingers, pointing fingers. I'm just like, it's frustrating because some people have the money to fix this whole country, right? But they are not going to do it. They rather discuss and find creative ways to keep talking about and dancing over the idea, and people are dying. So for me, I want to be that person who has that, supply, who is able to meet the demands of people without the bureaucratic measures that the world is taking.
That's such a refreshing perspective. And actually, I was going to my next question for you was going to be, beyond VZ, what goals do you still hope to achieve? And I mean, you've already mentioned, impact work, and you know you talked about, just doing things for communities and all that. But like, do you have other dreams, beyond VZ? So you've said, say it gets acquired, and of course, now you've basically you've told me now, your dream for VZ is for it to be acquired, right?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
end goal.
So after that, you think you're going to focus on impact work? You think that's the next thing for you?
That's the next thing for me. One of the ideas that still is within my head is to build a
Hmm.
school. I'm not sure exactly how that would go because it might be more of a technical school for younger
Okay.
people, right? Something that helps. Because you see, when we look at Nigeria, we want Nigeria to be fixed, which is the goal of any right thinking person, like wanting the country to be better, right? The challenge is not just that the country becomes better automatically, it's a process. You understand? The country is made up of people, right? And the people are what make up the country. The culture of the country is the summation of people's character, right? And you look at every day, you look at what is trending, and you see, we'll say this government official, that government official, but those people were all children who grew up to become adults, who become old men. Whatever vices they do did not just start at age 50. Those vices were there all these years. I was talking to someone, there's this group, I think you're part of it, the Inspire mentorship group. You're part of the group,
Okay. So
right?
that's actually my colleague who connected me with you, not me. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So they were asking us about what we want to do for social impact, and I was telling them we should start thinking about the boys who are age 10 to 15. I don't think there are enough people talking to those boys. I don't think enough people are teaching them what they should be doing. You see, the Nigerian culture protects the lady, advises her, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, so you can get married, so you can make things for your husband. Then they leave the boys to just do anything they want to do. I grew up under a very controlled, Christian home. right? I know how much my mother sacrificed to make sure her boys, you know, are of good character. And I just feel like that has helped shape me, shape my personal values. But here's the thing, Nigeria is becoming so hard that more parents are out there hustling than being at home, even checking the character of their children. And because of that, there's a huge gap in that place. And I feel like the next best platform that teaches children is a school. Now, just like maybe it's a school, maybe it's not a school, maybe it's a it's a tech place. You just come and you meet other people that love tech, and then you people geek about tech, and then there's this veteran in tech, Evans, who comes to give lecture from time to time, teaching you how you can build those little dreams into successful ventures. That's the way I think about it. It's not a clear cut idea, but it's something I think that, is important for me that I want to do that. Because by doing that, I would have a better old age looking at people that have been impacted at scale. You know, if we want to help people, we have to also design our lives that it protects us, right? See Visi now, while we are here talking on this, I may end this call and one person has created a new website and they're excited about it. And I was busy on a call with you, you know. But you realize that when you start set up other systems like that too, you would have done lots of good in this world that, you know, at 70, you can just smile and say, yes, I ran this race called life and drove a lot of impact.
Do you know?
I've talked about impact so
No, no,
much.
no, no, no. Do you know that? This is actually not what I was expecting to hear. I've been hearing so much about the rat race, the hustle culture and everything, and it's so refreshing to hear a different perspective. You're even thinking in the longer term. It's so refreshing to hear, and honestly, I think a lot of people would value that. How would you say like the people closest to you describe you? Maybe in like 3 words.
Um, on serious, always laughing, and sometimes a workaholic.
I like how the serious came before the workaholic. Okay, I love
Oh
that.
yeah, because yeah,
No, please go ahead. You want to say something?
I love to gist and banter and talk like Peter Doche, and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, I can do all of that and just get on my computer and I'm working for like 6, 8 hours straight.
Hmm. Wow. So the balance, basically, there's balance.
Yeah,
I love that. Awesome. So we'll be rounding up pretty soon. I would really just like to touch on like one more topic that I know you've mentioned. You talked about co-founder misalignment and everything that happened around COVID. And would you like to maybe share, what are like the valuable lessons you learned from that? Something that people could learn from, from everything that happened around that time.
get a contract, get a solid contract. Your friends still need a contract if you want to work with them. Trust me, money will define that friendship. Get a contract. Don't make assumptions. If you are kind, don't think that ethic is evenly distributed among every human being. It's not. Get a contract. You know, a lot of things what I went through was out of, oh, I trust this person. Let's just get this thing moving. And then you abandon something that could have saved you lots of stress. You understand? Get a contract is one major lesson. Secondly, um, don't be too quick to don't be too quick to say yes. There is value in saying no. There is value in I'll take my time and get back to you on this. You know, because I'm a very active person. I want to just start to achieve those goals, smash those goals. Some things I said yes to, which I realized that if I had told this person, I want to think about it. Maybe I would have seen a different angle. You understand? You know, I had given equity in my company as though equity was, just here's some equity, here's some equity. Those things really. I had to go to a business school to actually calm down, take a year off. I'm like, okay, I shouldn't have done this. I was leading just fine. Those businesses I spent a lot of money in building them, right? Though I had people that I had, put as co-founders, I was paying, you know. And I did it because I was just like, oh, it's not this tech thing we do, people people have a weird way they look at solo founders. They look at you as though you are trying to, be on your own and not work with people. But today I realized that there's lots of value in the early team. And VZ has shown me how I see lots of value in the early team I have today. And this early team, I wonder how, amazing it would be offering them equity, the fact that they are actually part of what they are building. And then there's like an equity reserved for the early team members of the company. Not in a way that you're saying, just this person, I want to reward just this person with equity. Because when you do that, you're rewarding too early. And if you reward someone before they grow into what they're supposed to get as a reward, you might create a lot of problems for yourself. Learned a lot, really, lots of lessons on that period, and I mean, sometimes I reflect on it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, something I should have done differently. But the good thing about life is that whatever did not kill you, there's a lot of lessons to gain from it. You know, it makes you stronger, is what people say, but there's also lots of lessons from it. And those lessons may not even be for you not to make it the next time. Sometimes it's for you to save somebody else that trouble. People still reach out to me personally because I'm not really taking time to publicly talk about it. People still reach out to me personally to ask me, oh, I want to do that. Like, don't do that. Do this instead. You know, and it's because of I don't want you to go through that shit. Like it can it can really really stress your mind out. But yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
thankful.
that I really, like I said, and I'm really enjoying your perspective in a lot of these topics. And I like what you just said. Whatever doesn't kill you, there are a lot of lessons to learn from it. So, I mean, that's a great perspective to have, in my own opinion. On bootstrapping, what would you say are like the valuable lessons you've learned? Maybe advice you could share on that as well, because I mean, I would say you're like the bootstrapping maestro at this point.
Um, on bootstrapping, I think that you should. There's one thing I need to understand: unit cost of your business. If you understand the unit cost of your business, it helps you to bootstrap effectively. By unit cost, what I mean is you need to understand what it costs to offer one service, to serve one customer, or to make one product that a customer can buy. Once you understand what that is, what that number is, then it helps you to know how much you need to have every month to keep operations going, which is pretty much bootstrapping. You understand? So let's say, for example, your business is you're a marketing consultant, right? And for marketing consulting, you need maybe a tool called Buffer, you need another tool called TweetDeck, and this other tool and that other tool. And all these tools cost you about $50 in a month, or let's say $100 in a month. But you also need to run advertising as well that costs you another $100 in a month, $200 in a month. And when you do all of this, it brings you five customers. So you're spending $200 to get five customers. It means that your customer acquisition cost is $40 to get one customer. Once you understand that number, it's a lot easier for you to know how much is my target every month to get so that I can be able to serve the customers I have. Once you have that magic number, you can keep on increasing your efforts every month to make sure you have enough to serve current customers as well as be able to gain new customers. There's a there's a number, there's a metric to this, there's a calculation to it you get. And I think that even if you're not doing a detailed calculation, you need to make sure you are cash flow positive because things happen in business. A lot of times, you need to make calculated risks. Let's say, for example, back in the pandemic, a lot of businesses went under during the pandemic, but a lot of people also made lots of money in the pandemic. A lot of platforms that were able for people like Zoom, for example, that was empowering video calls, they made so much valuation, so much money during the pandemic just because they were at the right time. Now imagine people who were offering services only, and those services did not have an online component to them when everybody was literally at home. They suffered a lot during that pandemic period. So a lot of times it's also important to make calculated risk even while bootstrapping, because anything that happens can literally wipe your business. But if you're calculating and also diversifying whatever you're getting from your company, you kind of hedge that risk and you can still stay afloat.
Hmm. Hmm.
There are lots of books on bootstrapping. I am still learning because there are times when even if between when you get funding to when you want to get the next fund, you need to bootstrap a little. So it's a constant learning process.
Hmm. Honestly, I was like expecting something like, oh, some aspire to perspire, but this is actually sounding.
No, I don't like require stuff. So those I don't like those
Mm,
things. I just tune off. I see like an ad.
No, I think you're being very real, right? So it sounds like a lot of financial management, a lot of like breaking down things. I'm really digging deep, right? You mentioned some books. Would you be able to share
Yeah.
some of the names of these books that you would advise or
Hmm.
recommend?
Anyone on bootstrapping? I don't know anyone off the top of my head right now bootstrapping, but trust me, anyone
Hmm.
is good. You see, I hear this thing a lot. Like, what books should I read? I'm just like, just read a
Just read
book.
a book.
Like, just read a book. It's almost like person is looking for an excuse. Do you get like if I need to learn anything, there's a YouTube video for that. You understand? There is a oh, you know what? ChatGPT.
Hmm.
Give me 5 ways to bootstrap my business. And to suggest the actual 5 ways with context to your
Hmm.
business. I use AI a lot right now. I'm actually doing a second master's program in AI. I started last
Wow.
month. And yeah, I've not even said that online, but yeah. Um, Yeah, so I use AI a lot, Even while building, AI is like our fifth team member at Busy, because I'm also teaching people how they can use AI to make their work a lot more improved. So you don't spend so much time on things that you can automate.
Hmm. I think that's so succinct basically. Like you basically captured everything. I also use AI a lot. I use it like my personal assistant and like my brainstorming person and I basically try to pass things by it. I've thought about something, help me flesh it out, you know, give me more ideas on things like this. Yes, and but for me it's interesting. Is it that you like school because you're back in another master's program?
Yeah, it's just the USM.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so by rounding up now, do you mind telling us how you came up with the name Vizzy?
The name VZ was I actually thought of the name during the Great Depression in 2020.
Oh.
I remember I remember a friend of mine telling me, Evans, you can start all over. You can do this. And I was like, nah, I'm too tired. It's like, get your energy back and just think of it. Start with a name. Evans, you can brand anything. Start with a name. If you build a new app that, helps those dreams you have of simplifying things, what would that dream be? I was like, I just need the app to be very easy. That's what it is. Make it very easy. Woke up the next morning. I was like, yeah, that name for that brand. Very easy, very easy, very easy. Okay. Very easy. Very, very, very easy. Very easy. Very easy. I put very easy and I'm like, it's still long. Because Cregital is from creative digital.
Oh, I see.
That's how you get
Okay.
Cregital. So I'm used to mashing up words and making brand names. So I kept on trying from VERSY to very easy. The S there sounds like a Z. So let's try VERZY. Then I took out the R and I was like VEZY. And I think I saw VEZY some airline somewhere in the world. And I took off the E and I was like, I like it. It's short. And then I checked for the name. I could find the domain vzy.co. I was like VZ. It's short, it's sweet, you know. it's nice because even if you are acquired by a company, it can be Adobe VZ, Amazon VZ. You get what I mean, right? It's a short name that you can put something after it and before it. Like it's a, I'm really good at business names now because I think about the fact that, these names also have to be less than 3 syllables. When you are too long, it becomes difficult to spell, difficult to remember. It becomes, if you look at the way we even make nicknames, most nicknames are 2 syllable. Think of all the fact that your name is Iwalola, they will call you Iwa or Lola,
Yeah.
right? All the Chiomas or people that have longer names, they're called Chi Chi,
Mm.
you know. So I was like, that same idea, it's like user experience design unknowingly. People would shorten a name when it is long, right? So why don't you give them a short name? They don't need to go and like shorten anymore, you know. So Visi was just perfect, short, sweet, it sounds smart, and I branded it like, you know, within a short time. That's it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, to be honest, I have no more questions, but do you have any parting words, any final words?
I'm glad. I think people should prioritize
Yeah.
rest. You know, that thing we talked about rest is super important. Rest is not the opposite of productivity, it's part of productivity. Please rest. If you don't rest, at some point you have to rest in peace. You have to rest, you know. Rest because it's part of your strategy to renew your mind. It's part of the strategy for you to even solve problems. Sometimes what a problem needs is just a fresh pair of eyes. You know, sometimes you're not seeing the solution because you're stuck in a problem for a long time. And that thing is also the importance of contracts. Super, super important. Whatever you're doing, get a contract, you know, get a lawyer. Super, super important. You know, don't be so carried away with the passion that you forget that all these other parts are also important for the business. Um, Always have a growth mindset. Remember that if you start to believe you're completely at the pinnacle of your career, it may affect your ability to learn something new. You know, always leave room for learning something new. You know, that growth mindset will help you surmount any challenge. And don't stop believing in the beauty of your dreams because, you know, we need a crazy amount of optimism to be able to, you know, achieve these dreams that we have today. You know, we need to be able to dream the biggest dream we can dream and believe like a mad person that that dream will come through.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
And that wraps up our conversation with Evans Akanno, where we took a look back at his journey through building Cregital, Disha, and Visi from the ground up. Throughout the episode, we learned about the challenges and triumphs of bootstrapping on the path to achieving impressive revenue milestones. As we conclude this episode, we encourage aspiring entrepreneurs to take inspiration from Evans's journey. His stories and advice serve as a reminder that with determination, creativity, and a strategic mindset, bootstrapping can be a powerful approach to building successful businesses. So, thanks again to Evans Akanno for joining us and sharing your experience and expertise. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We hope you found this episode informative, insightful, and inspiring. So stay tuned for more episodes where we bring you engaging conversations with industry leaders and entrepreneurs who have made a significant impact in their respective fields. Remember to subscribe to the podcast to never miss an episode. And remember to engage with our posts on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Our handles will all be linked in the show notes. Until next time, keep innovating, stay resilient, and embrace the journey of entrepreneurship.